Welcome to the District of Squamish's webinar series. The topic of the webinar today is measuring and monitoring with a special focus on waste diversion. My name is Deep Chahal and I'm a project manager with Synergy Foundation. I work with businesses across the province to assess and improve their environmental performance as well as create educational webinars on various topics of sustainability. Before we begin, I'd like to share a little bit about Synergy Foundation. Since 2013, our nonprofit has been driving innovation in green business, circular economy initiatives, and food security programs. Through our key projects like BC Green Business and Project Zero, we've supported hundreds of businesses in making sustainable shifts. The webinar series is a part of District of Squamish's Circular Economy Implementation Plan and is funded by Province of BC's Rural Economic Diversification and Infrastructure Program. The agenda today is a quick introduction to circular economy, followed by understanding what does a waste audit mean, how to use waste audits to set realistic and motivating goals, tracking your progress towards the goals that you've set, and then finally we'll go over the best practices to report your waste diversion efforts and outcomes. So let us start by looking at the current problem that circular economy is trying to address, and that is in 2020, the mass of human-made materials officially outweighed all living biomass. This means that everything we've produced, from buildings, cars, plastic, now surpasses the combined weight of all plants, animals, and marine life on Earth. This statistic underscores why we need to rethink our consumption and waste habits. And this calculation includes everything from, in our built environment to the products that we use every day, like coffee mugs, cars, smartphones. But the calculation only included objects that are in use, not our waste objects. So with waste included, human-made mass outweighed biomass back in 2013. So that just goes to show that we know we're extracting far too many virgin resources, most of which are destined for pollution. With our current linear economic model, we need to decouple economic growth and our natural resource consumption. Currently, most businesses operate in a linear economy, and the traditional linear economy model can be described by the phrase take, make, waste. So that's where resources are extracted, used, and discarded. This model leads to massive waste and environmental degradation. And in the circular economy model, raw materials and manufactured goods are designed to remain in the system. So to do this, we use processes like reduced consumption, reuse and repair, redistribution, reconditioning, and recycling, all of which are powered by renewable energy. And so there are these 5 re-entry mechanisms, and as you can see in the diagram, the inner loops are smaller. So these areas of circularity are prioritized first as they keep the goods and materials in use at their highest value. First up, we have reduce, which suggests that through efficient consumption and production process, waste can be reduced before it is even generated. And then we've got reuse and repair, which means that through continued reuse, maintenance, and repair, a product's useful life can be extended. Under redistribution, what we try to convey is that through methods like resale and donation, a product can continue to provide value throughout its useful life instead of becoming waste. Recondition, products can be restored to like new condition by a manufacturer and then redistributed to consumers. And finally, we have recycle, where products at the end of their life are separated into base materials, which re-enter the production process to create new products. And recycling is generally seen as the last option, as it is the most energy intensive and requires major changes to the goods. When all other re-entry mechanisms have been exhausted, that's when recycling is utilized. So nearly 93% of all products and materials are destined for landfill, incineration, or left to break down in our waterways and on land at the end of the life. This means that of all products, materials, and resources in existence, only a small percentage is re-entering the economy. And that is what we mean when we say that the world is only 7.2% circular. So what are the main reasons for us to shift to a circular economy? Well, first up, we have meeting our climate targets. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or IPCC, stated that to limit warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, we need to cut emissions by nearly half by 2030. And the circular economy offers promising opportunities to get us headed in the right direction. And then there is the economic potential. So according to Accenture, the circular economy is a $4.5 trillion opportunity. What we consider as waste can be a resource with significant untapped value. If we can shift our perception of what waste is, we have the opportunity to create new jobs, businesses, and strengthen local economy, as well as efficiencies that lower the operating costs for businesses, create cost savings through reduced waste that is going to the landfill, through reduced water consumption and energy usage as well. We all can agree that waste is an inseparable part of doing business, so it is pretty important from a business and environmental standpoint to understand its impact. To do so, I wanted to share the waste composition study conducted at the Squamish landfill. First of all, it is important to know that the Squamish landfill has only 4 to 5 years of capacity remaining, and building a new landfill or transfer station will be costly. The financial burden of a new landfill or transfer station will impact landfill users, so reducing landfill waste and making sure recyclables and reusables are kept out is important. Squamish landfill is a valuable space, and extending its life benefits the entire community. So here we have the waste brought to the facility broken down by sectors. So SF, or single family, makes up just over a quarter of the total waste. Multi-family units make up 17% of the total waste, while ICI, or the industrial, commercial, and institutional sector, makes up the most with 40%, and construction and demolition sector makes up 14% of the total waste that enters the landfill. And for the purpose of this webinar, we will look further into the ICI sector, which is where most businesses contribute their waste. Now, we have discussed some of the largest waste streams. Let's see what the real picture looks like at the local landfill. ICI garbage was primarily composed of organics at 38%, paper at 17%, and then plastic at almost 14%. The organic waste included wood, yard waste, and food waste. Plastic waste included durable plastics such as fences, pylons, and tarps, film and flex packaging, and products like pallet wrap or bubble wrap, rigid plastic packaging such as food containers, and single-use items such as plastic retail bags, takeout cups, containers, straws, and utensils. The paper waste was mostly composed of recyclable paper and food soil paper. As shown here, 72.5% of the waste has potential to be diverted from landfill through recycling, composting, or used as fuel in a cogeneration plant. So the question you might be asking yourself is how you, as a business owner or manager, can get started working towards achieving that waste diversion potential. So the first step towards achieving that waste diversion potential is to understand your waste, which requires conducting a waste audit. But what exactly does a waste audit mean? By definition, a waste audit is a systematic process of collecting, sorting, and analyzing the waste generated by an organization. It essentially provides a snapshot of what is being thrown away, where it's coming from, and in what quantities. So what's the purpose of a waste audit? Well, it helps the organization understand the types and sources of waste they produce. It helps them identify opportunities to reduce, reuse, recycle, or eliminate waste at the source, supports compliance with regulatory requirements or certification requirements if your business is pursuing one of those. And there are several benefits that come from conducting a waste audit as well. It helps you establish a baseline for tracking waste reduction and diversion over time. It informs the development of waste reduction strategies and performance targets. So, if you notice there's a lot of single-use cups in your bin, you could push to switch away from them or provide a bring your own cup discount to your customers. It can uncover cost-saving opportunities through improved material use and disposal practices, So again, for example, if you find that there's a reusable alternative to a single-use item that you might be discarding a lot of, that will not only reduce the waste but also provide cost and space-saving opportunities. And finally, it engages staff and builds awareness around sustainability efforts. And that engagement is really important, especially when you find out that a behavioral change is needed to meet your diversion targets. So there are 4 types of waste audits that I wanted to discuss today, and hopefully discussing these will help you pick a type that works for your business, provides good insight, and is practical. So first of all, we have a physical waste audit. So that involves hands-on sorting, weighing of waste materials, and it provides the most detailed and accurate data. And it is best used for offices, retail stores, restaurants, industrial facilities, anywhere waste can be physically assessed and sorted. Next, we have a desk audit or paper-based audit. So this relies on reviewing records, invoices, waste hauler reports, and staff interviews. This is less intrusive and faster, but less detailed. And this is best used for organizations with limited access to waste. So if you have your business in a shared building, or if you are in your early planning stages. Then we have a hybrid audit, which combines desk research and some physical sampling. So offers a balance of practicality and data accuracy. It's best for medium to large organizations seeking reliable data without fully committing to a full-scale waste audit. And then we have a food-based audit, which is a focused audit that tracks how much food is wasted, where it comes from, and why. So, whether it's spoilage, prep waste, or plate waste. Often includes weighing and categorizing food waste into avoidable versus unavoidable types. And this is best for food service businesses, restaurants, grocery stores, and it matters because food waste is a major contributor to greenhouse gas emissions and can be pretty costly as well. Food-based audits can reveal operational inefficiencies. They can also help inform menu planning and support cost savings and climate action goals. Choosing the right method for your business can sometimes be tricky. So if you're a small business and a tenant, you can start with a desk audit first and then transition to a hybrid or a physical audit as needed. And if you run a business or organization with on-site operations, so manufacturing or food service, physical audits provide the best insights for that. So now that we know the different types of waste audits, we need to know what to measure and include in a waste audit. So first, looking at what's measured, a waste audit captures quantitative and qualitative data about the materials an organization discards. Some of the common data points include types of materials, so paper, plastic, organics, metals, etc., the weight or volume of each material stream, the origin source of waste, so whether it's from the office, the kitchen, production floor, contamination levels, so in recycling and compost streams, so if your recycling bin contains items that cannot be recycled, that would be added up to find your contamination percentage. And then the disposal methods as well, so whether you're landfilling, recycling, composting, reusing, or a combination of those all. And then what's typically included is your operational waste, so day-to-day waste from workspaces, kitchens, washrooms, packaging waste from shipping materials, product wrapping, organics from food scraps, yard-based compostables, and your recyclables, including paper, cardboard, containers, and electronic waste if it's part of your day-to-day operations. So here I wanted to share an example of a resort where we conducted a waste audit. We found that their total annual waste was approximately 230,000 kilograms, and of that, 162,000 kilograms, or 71%, was sent to landfill. 62,000 kilograms, or 27%, was recycling, primarily just cardboard, and the remaining 2% was made up of organics. In addition to measuring the total volume, the audit also helped identify contamination in the landfill stream, with organic material ending up where it shouldn't be. And this information also allowed us to calculate their waste-related emissions. And despite landfill waste accounting for 71% of the total waste volume, it contributed to a much larger share of emissions, about 93% of the resort's total waste emissions. In total, their waste generated approximately 99.8 tons of CO2 equivalent, which is comparable to the emissions from 23 gas-powered passenger vehicles driven for one whole year. Okay, so once you've conducted your waste audit and understand your waste and where it is coming from, the next step is to start setting SMART goals to guide your actions. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. This framework helps ensure that your waste reduction efforts are clear, practical, and aligned with your overall sustainability objectives. For example, rather than a vague goal like reduce waste, a SMART goal would be reduce food waste in the staff kitchen by 25% over 6 months by tracking weekly waste weights and adjusting purchasing habits accordingly. So this goal is specific in scope, which is the food waste in the staff kitchen. It's measurable with data, which will be the food waste weight measured weekly. The goal is realistic since the team members have 6 months to achieve the target, and it is aligned with broader environmental goals and has a clear deadline. So using the SMART framework not only helps you stay organized, it also makes it easier to report your progress to leadership, teams, or customers, and also to celebrate your success when you reach those milestones. So now that we've discussed setting goals, let's look at some of the most common metrics used to track waste performance, and that is the diversion rate. Diversion rate is simply the percentage of your total waste that is not going to the landfill or incineration. So that includes anything that's being recycled, composted, or reused. It is a simple but powerful number that tells you how well you're managing your waste streams. And different industries have different baseline diversion rates. For example, office buildings typically fall in the 50 to 75% range, while food service businesses are usually between 40 to 60%. Setting a realistic diversion rate means knowing where you stand compared to your peers and then deciding how far you want to push it. For those aiming to achieve certifications like zero waste, a 90% waste diversion rate is often the benchmark. Next, let's talk about KPIs. A KPI or key performance indicator is a measurable value that demonstrates how effectively a company is achieving its key targets. Waste diversion is a good KPI because it not only reflects a business's commitment to environmental responsibility and efficient resource management, but it can be tracked over time to measure progress and identify areas for improvement in waste management practices. And sharing your diversion rate publicly, especially if it improves over time, is also a great way to demonstrate your commitment to sustainability. So let's talk about why is goal setting so important. Well, goals turn audit data into actionable change. And once you have set goals that are realistic but motivating, you have a direction to work towards. These goals should also be aligned to support compliance with corporate sustainability and ESG commitments. And waste is unique in that it is a visible and measurable metric, unlike GHG emissions, for example, which is almost in all cases only measurable. And this visible and measurable metric really resonates with investors and customers. Sharing goals with your staff and team also inspires ownership and participation. For example, you could even have incentives. So the amount of money saved by diverting waste that goes to the landfill could go towards a staff bonus at the end of the year. Setting goals improves transparency with customers, clients, and stakeholders. It helps build trust and brand reputation through your sustainability commitments. But when you're setting goals, it is important that you set clear metrics and timelines. For example, you have a goal of diverting 60% of your waste from the landfill by 2027. Use consistent methodology and communicate it openly. And finally, consider third-party verifications or certifications that lend credibility and structure to your goals. Once you set your goals, the next step is to track your progress. And the good news is there are a few different ways to do that, depending on your organization's size and resources. One simple way is to track how many bins of garbage, recycling, and compost your site builds each week or month. This doesn't require a scale, just consistency. It's a great starting point, especially for a smaller organization. You can also pull data from utility bills or hauler invoices. Many waste haulers provide reports showing pickup frequencies and rates. Utility data can also help you identify related trends. For instance, a drop in water use might indicate improved kitchen efficiency or better food waste practices. The key here is to choose a method that your team can realistically stick with, whether it is a simple tally or a more advanced dashboard. Consistent tracking is what allows you to measure progress and make informed changes over time. So now let's talk about the numbers that really matter. Once you begin tracking waste, you want metrics that are meaningful to your operations and understandable to your audience. There's a few core metrics that work almost anywhere. That is your total waste generated, diversion rate, contamination rate, cost of disposal, and if you can get it, your greenhouse gas emissions tied to your waste hauling. From there, tailor your metrics to your sector. In restaurants, food waste per meal and the split between prep waste and plate waste can drive menu and portion decisions. In breweries, water used per liter of beer produced and spent grain recovery are powerful efficiency and circularity indicators. In grocery and retail stores, focuses often on organic shrink and cardboard recycling rates. In tourism and hospitality, linking waste and fuel use to guest nights helps connect sustainability to guest experience and cost. And in an office setting, waste per full-time employee and paper recycling rates are simple and effective. So start small, choose 3 to 5 metrics that align with your SMART goals, collect them consistently, and then build from there as your data improves. Now that you know what you're tracking, the next step is figuring out how to collect the data and who's responsible for it. It's critical to assign ownership, whether it's someone in operations, facilities, or sustainability. This ensures that data doesn't get forgotten or inconsistently recorded. Ideally, use a shared tool or dashboard so that others can see the data too. Finally, make sure the person collecting data knows how to do it properly. That could mean training on how to weigh bins, how to read invoices, or how to record observations. Consistency is key, and even a basic checklist or guide can help avoid errors. And as your waste reduction efforts mature, you can always review and adjust. The important thing is to keep the process clear, simple, and repeatable. Even for a small and medium-sized business, data integrity matters. If the data you collect is inconsistent or unclear, it becomes difficult to track real progress or to make confident decisions about what to improve. Clean, reliable data also builds trust, whether you're sharing the results with your staff, your leadership, or your customers. For added credibility, especially if you are going after certifications, you want to showcase your sustainability efforts. Consider third-party verification. This could be a consultant audit, a formal certification like True Zero Waste, or even a B Corp assessment depending on your goals. Okay, up next, I wanted to highlight a Victoria-based pub that we worked with and who used the information that they gained through a circular economy and waste diversion assessment to implement changes and significantly reduce their waste. The most resource effective, efficient way to contribute to circular economy is to eliminate and reduce waste before it is generated. And this pub was able to minimize paper waste by offering hand towels in all their bathrooms. And as for their food waste, they leaned into using optimum control to identify and reduce food waste. They've been balancing food costs with guest expectations and always asking the question, do we need to have this on the plate? Currently, approximately 40% of the items in the landfill bin are recyclable or compostable. On the site visit, the Sasser team noted soft plastics and organics. By reducing that number to 20%, the pub could reduce annual emissions by 0.2 tons of CO2 emissions and volume of waste sent to the landfill by 450 kilograms, and that's just a 20% reduction. And so with that information, they created a new area under the stairs with totes, bins, and labels to help staff better sort refundables. And so far, the system seems to be working better than the previous one. A study from UBC also found that placing bins 1.5 meters from the door boosts recycling and composting rates by up to 141%. And finally, their cooking oil goes to a oil recycling company on Vancouver Island, and they also installed Frylo, an oil extending device. Initially, they saw a 50% reduction in their cooking oil use, and that reduction has gradually decreased, but they're still really happy with the overall impact. So tracking your waste is great, but if you don't communicate your progress, you miss out on some major benefits. Internally, reporting back to your staff helps keep the momentum going. People like to know that their efforts, like sorting properly or reducing waste, are making a difference. It builds a shared sense of purpose. Externally, sharing your progress builds trust with customers and can set your business apart. Consumers increasingly want to support companies that are environmentally responsible, and when you report transparently, whether it's a simple social media post or an annual summary, it shows that you're serious and sets you apart from your competitors. And don't forget that reporting can also support funding opportunities. So if you're applying for grants, rebates, or awards, being able to show measurable results gives you a much stronger case. So whether you're aiming to motivate your team, attract new customers, or secure funding, reporting your waste data can open many doors. Many different ways to share your waste data effectively. Visual tools like infographics or simple charts can help highlight important numbers such as your diversion rate or how much waste you've reduced. These can be featured on your website, in blog posts, annual reports, or dedicated sustainability pages. And combining social media and website efforts amplifies your message. So use social media for quick updates and engaging photos or videos, while your website can provide more detailed information. And this approach helps you connect both customers and staff, showing that your business is committed and making real progress. And finally, continuous improvement is key to sustained success. So break your long-term goals into shorter, achievable targets like quarterly or annual milestones. These smaller goals keep your team motivated and focused. And don't forget to celebrate your successes along the way. So sharing your wins not only boosts your morale, but also builds trust and excitement around your sustainability journey. And finally, engage your community. Whether it is other local businesses, industry groups, or your customers, sharing your experiences and challenges creates a support network that can help you overcome hurdles and amplify your impact as well. The end of this webinar. Next, we want to share some resources that might help you get started with conducting your very first waste audit or learn more techniques on food waste prevention. First of all, I wanted to highlight some waste audit tools. These are general and food waste audit tools, and they are available on Project Zero's website. So that is www.projectzero.ca/waste audits. And you can also download the waste diversion signage, which can be really helpful in guiding staff and customers to use waste diversion stations properly. Next, I wanted to share this BC government resource that offers guidance for businesses on how to reduce and prevent food waste. It includes tools, best practices, general advice to support more sustainable operations. The information is especially useful for food service, retail, and other sectors that generate large volumes of organic waste. It's a helpful starting point for any businesses looking to cut waste, save money, and lower their environmental impact. And you can access it by following the link on the slide below. And I also wanted to share Hotel Kitchen, which is a platform developed for kitchens to fight food waste. They developed a series of 5 training videos on topics including understanding measurement, best practices, pre-service, post-service, to help staff embark on food waste management journey. By implementing strategies on hotelkitchen.org, properties found food waste reductions between 17 to 38% during a pilot project period. So yeah, I highly recommend you watch this informational series to learn your role today, and use the link on the screen here. Once again, I'd like to thank the District of Squamish and the Province of BC's Rural Economic Diversification and Infrastructure Program for making this webinar series possible.